Okay, so welcome
Countdown
everyone
too.
to another episode of Remember Me, the stories of our babies. And today I have another special mom talking about her precious baby girl. And before we even get into it, like we are 10 days away from both our baby girls' birthday.
So my name is Sonia, and I am Autumn Angela's mama.
Like so many things in common. Both our babies were born on the same day. They're both called Angela as the middle name. Like
Yes, yeah,
it's surreal. And you also lived, okay, where I used to live, right? Where I live now.
yeah. It's I know. I was telling my friend that the other day. I was like,
Yeah.
even I lived in where she used to live. I mean, sorry, you live there now, and I used to live there. Like when I first arrived to England, when
Oh,
I worked there, that's where I met my roommates. Yeah, like you can't even deny that there's our babies
yeah,
brought us together. Like you just cannot. Like, sorry for
absolutely.
anyone who's skeptical. Like, but this is the real deal.
It feels that, you know, it just gives more weight to the fact that they are so real, like outside of the physical, and that they continue and that they have this force that is, yeah, otherworldly. It's beautiful.
What's interesting is, when I talk to some people who have lost their babies, they're, what comes up sometimes is like they've been told like you're not the only, like you're not the first one to go through this. Someone else is going through this at the same time or will be, and like literally, even though it's a year apart, we were going through the exact same thing, the same day. It is. It's just. It's sometimes it's hard to even like
I
understand.
was, celebrating Mila's birthday on the same
Yeah,
day that
yeah,
obviously Autumn was born. I kept having this nagging feeling in my head, someone else is going through this right now. And it was just awful to think that. And then,
yeah. It. I know. I know. Oh man.
yeah. I know you said you were struggling with this first question that I really, but I think it's important. I just think it's important to just ask this question. And you can answer it however you want. And I'm sure there's probably more that you might want to add into it that you'll
Mhm.
think about later. But if you could like describe who you were before having thinking about motherhood or anything like that, who obviously you are now after being a bereaved mother, like what are the words that come to mind? Like how would you describe who you were and who you are?
Full of life. Um, like hopeful. You know. I would say that's how
Yeah.
I was
And then now
before.
it's just
Yeah. Now it's hard. Like obviously what's helped me through even conceiving Autumn was my spirituality. So I became spiritual. But now I'm like more skeptical, and that hope that I once had before, it's not as strong. Like I have to really fight to find that. Um, but then I also find that I'm more
hmm,
like outwardly kind of confident in certain areas of my life. Like I just kind of don't take things,
yeah.
I don't let things slide the same way as I once did.
You've been through the worst thing. So like no one can test you right now. And it's that whole thing of like being a mama bear or that lioness mom where you are so protective over your child that now you just want to be protective about everything around you and make sure that you're
Yeah.
on job when someone is trying to test you, they can't.
Yeah, totally, totally. Like I'm very, I guess I'm more open and honest with people. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's not always easy and it's still a work in progress to for me to be like, no,
Mm,
like this matters and this is important and I'm upset about this, so I should voice my feelings rather than like, oh, you know, it's I need to kind of allow other people to be who they are. And it's like, wait a minute, I have to allow myself to be who I am and protect my baby.
absolutely,
And,
absolutely.
her life matters even if she's not here.
What you've just said kind of reminded me of it, where it's like I think now I have to be kind to myself in the way, or treat myself how I would treat the daughter that I don't get to parent in a physical world. So like I have to parent myself, like, that whole inner child thing. That's
Right.
sort of like what I've learned to come out of it. Um, you also
Yeah, yeah,
mentioned
yeah.
hope, and man,
It's genuine.
I believe, I agree with that. Like, I don't have, I don't really have hope about things anymore either.
It's a tough one. When people tell you like about, just the trying to conceive again, right? That whole journey. And, you have to find the faith and keep the hope, or like find hope and all this stuff. Like, and it's like, but
Yeah,
it is so hard. It is so difficult, like, I mean, we can get into Autumn's story after, but it took us a while to conceive her, right? So that alone, and then it's like, ugh, just to lose her and now have to do it again, right? And even if she was alive, it still would be a hard journey, right? Knowing how
yeah.
our journey was to conceive Autumn. And it's tiring. It's tiring.
In
It's
our
tiring.
community, when we talk about things like hope, we have to be so careful because it's not that easy, and there's no guarantee. There really isn't. And we're walking proof of that, the fact that it's no guarantee that you'll have a baby at the end of it. And then trying to conceive again, there's also no guarantee there. So like hope can be a very like toxic positivity almost kind of thing. So
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's a hard, like toxic positivity. That's a really tough one to kind of decipher. Like when are you being toxic, um, positive? Yeah, that's an interesting one because sometimes I feel when people make comments, I'm like, I understand you're trying to be positive, you know,
yeah,
but they don't understand that whole toxic positivity, right? I think I'm still trying to understand like when is it toxic and when is it not, and maybe it's how we perceive it to be. Like
yeah.
if we're like, yeah, we understand what you're trying to say, but it hurts us, then maybe that.
This is one of those things that you can't
Yeah.
really make better. Like, let's just sit with it.
I know, and it's about like holding space, and I think that, society needs to learn how to hold space for each other, for people grieving. We're such a grief illiterate society, and let
Yeah,
alone when you
yeah.
add baby loss and child loss into it,
Absolutely, absolutely.
people spiral and have no idea how to sit with it.
I'm really looking forward to hearing all about autumn. So let's get into it. So what inspired you to name autumn?
So, okay, so there's a few pieces to this. So first of all, my husband and I love the season, autumn, right? So that was kind of part of it. But when I taught at a school 2 years ago, 2 or 3 years ago, honestly, because we knew her first name since we started trying to conceive her. We're like, yep, it's Autumn, because I had a student, and Autumn is a very unique name. And I love the name. I loved her. She was sassy. She was in grade 2. She was sassy. She just like did her own thing, but she was a sweetheart, like I used to like I call Autumn like my wildflower, and my light worker. And I don't know, this girl, I'm like, this girl is gonna change the world. And I just fell in love with the name, like her name. And I went home and I'm like, Autumn, and he's like, yes. And then Angela, so my aunt and my godmother, her name is Angelina. And so we chose Angela for the middle name, but that wasn't 100% settled on until we were in the hospital. We were kind of going back and forth on middle names because for some reason, before we decide on it, I was like, Autumn Angela, that it doesn't have a ring to it. Don't ask me why, because now I think it's the most perfect like pair. I'm like AA and everything. It just sounds so beautiful. So we were kind of playing around with different names, and because my whole thing was like wildflowers, so we were looking at, oh man, we were looking at like flower names, and then he really liked my grandmother's name. Um, my grandparents love my mother-in-law's name, and they're like, you should name her after her. And I'm like, no, we're gonna give this child its own name, right? Because there's so, I mean, like, in our culture, it's like everyone's named the same name, or because it's just like, you respect the father side or this and that, right? Like, I'm like, this girl's gonna have her own name, like, no matter what. And it's like nice to honor someone who has passed. And I kind of always wanted Angela, um, since I was younger. Like I was 6 when she passed away. So I kind of wanted that name. Anyways, and then we were in the hospital, and I just looked at Will, and I was like, can we name her Autumn Angela? And he's like, it's the most perfect name. Like, and we just like, that's it. Yeah. Yeah.
Autumn Angela is so gorgeous.
Really, like, I wouldn't be using her middle name often as I do, right? If she was alive, her name would be just, I would call her Autumn. Or, maybe if I was upset with her, I'd be like, Autumn Angela, right? Or when she got older, I feel like, when you have your alter ego, and as a teenager and you're 20, or, she goes to a club and she uses Angela, and
Angela.
so, but I just, obviously we use Autumn Angela a lot more, and we put it everywhere where we can. Yeah.
Can you tell us the date in which Autumn was born and also her due date as
Yeah.
well?
So she was born December 29th, 2023, and she was due around February 19th. So she was 32 weeks, or we were. I like to say we because she was in me, we were 32 weeks and 4 days.
What is Autumn's star sign?
So I believe she's a Capricorn. Correct me if I'm wrong. Because now it's like, yeah, yeah, she's a Capricorn. I'm not 100% sure on the personality of a Capricorn. Um, maybe it's, I don't know. I should look more into it because I have been into astrology quite a bit. And I kind of like got it. Like, I'm into the moon, like the full moons and new moons and all those things. So I should.
If
But
you were to ask me the personality traits, I wouldn't know except like they like money. I think they like money area.
yeah, I think I was reading it one day, and I'm like, that is not Autumn. Absolutely not. Like, she is, no.
Do you do anything on the 19th of February? Does that? Oh, sorry, we haven't even got there. Oh my God. Wow.
We got, yeah, like, where should we move backwards to?
Your first year. I mean, I
Yeah,
guess I could
this is our
ask you
first.
within that
Hmm.
context, what was it like passing her due date?
Yeah, so I actually so before she was born, and like with everything, I was planning to do, oh my God, what is it? What's the term? It was a women's circle that I was going to hold, with my close friends and family. And it is, oh my gosh, this is going to bother me so much. Um, and it's kind of like, it's called the Blessing Way. It's called the Blessing Way, where one of my friends who got me into like meditation and things like that, she was going to come in and run it. And it's just like a blessing for myself and the baby, right? So that didn't happen. So we ended up still having a women's circle, but it was in honor of Autumn, and I chose to do it the weekend of her due date. So that's how I did a few things to honor her due date. So I did that. So that was beautiful to be surrounded by just there's maybe 10 of us, like very like select few. It was so beautiful. We had a beautiful, like, we call it an altar, but just like a table with like all her things, and everyone, they were able to bring things that maybe they wanted to add to it, or that made them think of autumn and whatnot. So it was just a beautiful, beautiful space. And how really um it's how like this the power of the sisterhood and being in community. And back in the day, like, that's what they did, right? They gathered if anything happened, good or bad. Like, the women, the community, they gathered together to support each other and that person. And so I love that idea. And obviously, grief, you need that. It takes a village to grieve a child just as much as it takes a village to raise a child, as the quote says. um and then what else did we do? I put together, well, my husband and I, but I did more of the work. We put together two baskets to be given to two babies that were born alive um, at the hospital that she was born at, in a way to honor her. And then we asked everyone who attended to light a candle at 6:13, because she was born at 6:13 p.m. On her her anticipated due date. So we did quite a few things, and it helped me. But like, that evening, Will and I, we did a meditation together to connect to your baby. And I think we both just bawled. Like, we felt connected to her, but then it was bittersweet that whole weekend. um yeah, so I feel like I did quite a bit. I don't know how this year is gonna look, but
Well, I just love how much you rendered yourself and gave yourself spiritually to find that gateway to connect with your baby, which is like so beautiful. And it's something that I always looked to. Like, spirituality for me is major. And I want to get more into like hearing. So, were you always like in this spiritual path? Like, how did you know to do these things? Like, yeah.
yeah. So, you know what? It kind of started, I don't want to bring up this word, but COVID times. Um, and my friend and her, like, a few cousins and their friends, we kind of put a group together to kind of keep us in check mentally, right? So that and it was through like WhatsApp. And we would we would take on a different week and a different activity. And so, like, yoga, like a quick meditation, all these different things. And as like, I would say, yeah, that's kind of when it slowly started. And then, I think when I was starting to, or maybe a year into trying to conceive, how did I get into meditation? That's a good question. I think that's what it was. I think it was that whole group. And then slowly, slowly, I kind of started finding different groups. Oh, and then my friend Miriam, actually, she introduced me to someone who I started meditating with, and I joined weekly. She would have like online weekly meditations. And at first I was kind of hesitant. I was like, I don't know if this is going to work online. I'm a very in-person person. Like, I just like to, that connection, is important. But I loved it. And I honestly didn't miss a week. It was very rare that I missed a week. And through that, I don't know, my spirituality just grew. And as I started meditating, and like it's a practice, right? That's what they say. And I started getting, I started seeing like colors. And so my meditations while I was in that state started really being different, and I like loved it. And I was like, wow, like, this is wild. And then no, it just kind of like took off. And then I started getting into like the crystals and that those powers. And I did, uh, I think, one or two women circle. And that was just like, I loved it. I absolutely loved everything about it. Yeah.
That's really amazing. So, going back to autumn now, it'll be really interesting to hear like the early moments of your pregnancy, like what were your symptoms like when you found out, like how you found out you were pregnant, if you remember those early memories, and what were your early symptoms?
So I remember quite a bit. I don't know about symptoms, but I have a it's interesting because I have a really good memory, but then I find this year, I guess, I'm learning grief brain is legit. Because some things I'm just like, how do I not remember that? Like, or something that I did like a few days ago, but I can remember, things that happened, years ago. So I remember almost every single detail, even from the last moment that I felt her. So let's see what comes up because I may be like, oh man, I forgot. But no, so we conceived her through IUI, through a fertility clinic. Um, and so there wasn't kind of like, it wasn't spontaneous, right? So it's not like I missed my period and then I did the test. No, like my test was scheduled 2 weeks after the procedure. um, and so I found out. So I went. It was like a 6:30 appointment because it was before work. So I did like my pregnancy test, blood work, and I had to wait all day. That was like the longest day. And I think it was like 3 o'clock. Yeah, because the students were all dismissed by that point. I was walking back to my classroom, and I got the call, and I was like shocked, like so shocked. Um, but sorry, prior to that, I was working on it's called conscious conception, and that's where you really zone in on your whys and really focusing on it no matter what, even if it's like, oh, you want to give your parents a grandchild, like it didn't matter the reasons, just really focusing and feeling. And future journaling, that's another thing that I was really into. And so I literally journaled how it would feel, um what I was wearing. So I literally wore the same thing that I wrote about because I'm like, it has to happen. Who I told, like everything. So I wrote this like prior to that day. Um and yeah, so I was really shocked because it was also our first IUI, which is also very rare for that to happen. Um Yeah, it was wild. And I told Will before, I'm like, don't ask me any questions all day. I will tell you one way or another, you will find out, right? Because if I was, which I was, I'm like, it takes like the element of surprise away a little bit when it's so planned, and so at least if I was able to share it in a cute way for him, right? So I was like, don't ask me at all. And then I was able to put something together. So yeah, so I was shocked, obviously, happy, relieved, right? Like I just felt like finally I get to be the mom that I've always wanted, right? Like it was our time to shine, we are like the cool and fun aunts and uncle, and now we want to be the cool mom and dad. Um, Symptoms. So the first, so one of the reasons why I also, or no, Will thought that I might be pregnant, and I didn't think about it, it's because he used to make this like cabbage stir fry, and I remember that week I could not eat it, like at all, and Will's like, that's really weird, but he didn't say anything to me, and also my sense of smell. Oh my gosh, my sense of smell was heightened. Insane. Like I could smell anything, and also like I don't like cigarette smoke. No judgment, but I don't like cigarette smoke, and any like I literally could go out on my balcony and be like, someone's smoking in our condo. Like, not, you know what I mean? Like it's, oh yeah, yeah. Like it was intense. And then yeah, I think I had morning sickness. Like I had the nausea for, I would say, maybe the first trimester. And then what else? What other symptoms? I did have a subchronic hemorrhage. So I had like light spotting. Um, and like I'm trying to think of other symptoms. Oh, I was exhausted. Luckily, I had found out in June. And being a teacher, I have the summer off. So my first trimester, I was literally, and I love summer. Is like I'm a summer baby. I love summer, and I was in bed for most of the summer. I was just so tired. I just was I would sleep in, and then I would still need a nap. And I'm like, wow, oh my gosh, yeah. Growing a child is exhausting.
I didn't realize
Yeah.
how tired you get. It's too much.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm like, I never judged any pregnant person for being tired. I don't like I never did. I was never one to be like, oh my God, why are they so tired? Like, but I definitely like, yep. I got
I
it.
love, by the way, you were talking about
Right.
conscious conception, right? Like the level, like you must have so much documentation of
Yeah.
before your pregnancy and during as well. Did you document quite a bit?
Yes and no. I would like during, I think because I was so tired, right? And then like I was then, September came around and I was working. I journaled a bit, not as much as I did before. But I had, oh yeah, because then I focused on my affirmations like before. I would write down my affirmations like daily. So yeah, I do have quite a bit. And then also the year before that December, sorry, the December before I found out I was pregnant, I wrote, I went to a winter solstice women's circle. And you write a letter to yourself that you open 6 months after. Yeah, and then I was like, I'm gonna be pregnant and I'm gonna have a permanent position at the school that I have, like all these things. And they literally like all came through true. It was like insane. Like it was I put a lot of spiritual work into my pregnancy and yeah, yeah, it's like beautiful, but then it's like thinking, yeah, like to have to do that now again is hard, but yeah, we can get into that later. Yeah. But it helped me. I think what's helping me now is my spirituality, right? And like, yeah. And it's a rocky road. It has been definitely a rocky road. Like it's not clear cut.
What would you say are like your fondest memories during your pregnancy? Like, what are the things that you and Autumn got to do and your husband as well?
Oh geez. Yeah. Yeah, you are, yeah, there might be some emotions here that come out. Um, one thing Will wanted our child to he's into Harry Potter and like Lord of the Rings and all that stuff. And he's like he was gonna read Harry Potter during my pregnancy. I'm like, okay. And so he did that. He started doing that. So like I have a few pictures of him reading and he does voices, right? Like it's yeah, it's really, really cute. And then I would have also our dog, Loki, there with us, like wherever I was lying. So that's like a story. So that's a really sweet memory, actually. Like that, and a way that he was able to bond with her, right? Because the father, it's hard for the father to bond the same way that we bond with them. I would say that's like one of the for the three of us. Oh, the first time we felt her like together, yeah, we were actually walking and I don't know if it was like the baby show that we had gone to. Like they have these all these shows at the exhibition place, right? And all these vendors and things like that. So we went to the baby show. And then we were walking, it was like a home show, and we were walking through there and I was like, oh, like I felt like this like pain, and then all of a sudden it was like a really quick movement, right? I had started feeling like little flutters, so I understood that term. But yeah, like the first time you really felt like her kick was and then he says he did. I don't know if I believe him or not, but yeah, and then because we literally were stopped and like it's a massive like space, right? And his hand is on my stomach, and we're just standing there, wait, right? Just like seeing him, like, oh my God, I think she moved. And yeah, yeah. So that was another sweet memory. I'm like, oh, I don't know. If anything comes up, I'll think about it. But those are two big moments. Also, yeah, there were, and obviously, the first time that we saw her. So because we conceived her through a fertility clinic, we got to see her from like 6 weeks to the 3 months to 12-ish weeks. I saw them a little bit longer, or sorry, more often because of my subchronic hemorrhage. But so we literally, and I have like the video. So we have her as a little tadpole, right, with like a little flickering heartbeat, and then we see like the gradual growth, um, and that was really sweet. And then Will, he's funny. He likes to be funny, and so we have his comments in there, and right, and oh my God, yeah,
Those
right,
authentic
and
moments, like the
yeah,
oh, honestly, yeah, can just imagine that.
yeah,
Yeah, thank you
yeah,
so much for
yeah,
sharing.
yeah.
Did you guys go and
Thanks.
visit anywhere
No problem.
special?
Let's see, the only place we ended up going to is so he won a 2-night stay at a cottage up north, right? And so a cottage was on the lake. So it's like more secluded and there's like I think there was like a sauna, there's a fire pit. It was beautiful. Anyway, so we ended up making that like a baby moon. Um, and we went last year, December. It was the weekend of December 15th. And he actually had planned with the owner. So it was like an Airbnb, like you can rent them on Airbnb. Like beautiful. It was absolutely beautiful. So he coordinated with her to have like this, like it was really sweet, like just gifts for me and Autumn. Like, yeah, it was again, we have a video of that. We have pictures, and so there's like little things, like a little hat and things. And then she ended up gifting him like an apron that said, I forget what it said, but it said Daddy-O and then something
Such a
else.
special moment. Yeah, that's really good. You need that, don't you? And especially
Yeah,
like
he's good that way.
obviously throughout your pregnancy, but then when you experience a loss, like you need your partner to really be there for you. You really do. Like, yeah, can't
Yeah,
underestimate.
yeah.
Mm. I'll ask you
For
about
us,
like
we are getting
cravings
close.
and aversions. Obviously, you mentioned the cabbage being a thing.
Yeah, right. And yeah, and I know when we did the our live, that came up too because that was like a major one. I was like, do not put cabbage around my, and Will loved this cabbage. So he still does. He still to this
Oh,
day, it's a staple like lunch that he makes almost weekly. Also part of like before we conceived, I also it's called fertility confidence method. I came across this naturopath and it's like it's a whole program and there's a team and they have monthly meal plans that are fertility friendly. And so we use that and that's one that he just ended up like loving. And I was like, okay. But yeah, so it's fertility confidence method with Dr. Duncan. I can find out her name. I can definitely find out her name. Yeah, Kelsey Duncan. But I don't see her directly because she has a team that she has, and so I work with um, one of the naturopaths that she works with. Dr. Natalie I call her, and she's like they're amazing. And so I started September, October with them before I conceived Autumn. Like it was another way of, I wanted to like do everything and anything possible. The fertility clinic, they don't talk about egg quality, egg health. They just say, oh yeah, this is your number, your reserve. I think it's like AMH. Um, it's essentially it's like, no, there's nothing you can do. Like you're getting older, you're losing your eggs, and it's like, well, yeah, you can't create more eggs, but you can focus on the quality of them. And a lot of people don't know that or are aware of that. Um, and I mean, just even knowing our bodies, right? Like, how many, like, oh, man, how many people know that it's only like really 1 week, 3 days that you have to conceive? Like, like there's just like there's this window, and I think if people knew more about their own bodies, um, it would help them feel a little bit more in control in such a uncontrollable situation. Like there are things you can do. Like I became very obsessive, like I'm not gonna lie. So it's just, I think it's where you're at in your journey. But it could be also so helpful. And like I want to talk to teens, right? And like learn your body so that you don't get pregnant when you don't want to. Like that's another thing. Like it's not just about getting pregnant, it's also about not getting pregnant when you learn your body.
There isn't that conversation around people about knowing ourselves, knowing all the like things like, your diet and how that could help. Why don't we learn about these things? Like,
Yep. No, I know. And all the um like the endo disruptors, and right, and like these terminologies are there for a reason, right? And I don't go to our one store here is like Bed Bath and Beyond. They have candles, and like I'm very like I've changed my laundry detergent, I've changed my soap, my hand soap, like dishwasher detergent. Like I am very like where I can control that, right? All the toxins and things. Because listen, you walk out in the world, like there's so much, right? We're taking in so many chemicals and things like that. So if I can have like somewhat of a free toxin free home, um, but again, it affects our hormones, which our hormones affect getting pregnant. Girl, we need to do like another one on this.
there's just so much that you don't know about how many things around us are affecting us consistently. It's not just our bodies, it's what's going on outside our bodies as well. And it's so important. And it needs to start from young. Like the education we have in school needs to
Yeah,
be more specific. I wanted to ask you, were there any songs that you used to play? Because I really think music is such a great connector. Did you play music to
yeah.
Autumn?
So yeah, I was starting to make a playlist for her. So I think I had, when I was looking at that the other day, it says I have a playlist for her now. And it's interesting, before I share, like what's interesting is the songs that I was connected to even when she passed to the songs that I'm connecting to now. Like I've noted there is a shift, right? Like I have a long playlist for her. And there's a certain songs that I've been listening to recently that I listened to immediately that I came across. But yeah, no, music and is something so important to me. It's gotten me through like my whole life. There's literally a song for everything. Like I would go work out, and I would like after like when I started slowly moving again after giving birth, that was like sad workout music. You know what I mean? Like there is a playlist for everything. For Christmas, I was like sad Christmas songs, like Christmas and grief. Like there is I'm telling you, there's a playlist for everything, which is great, right? Because then you can like, but I listen to, because I have my phone right here. Like One Republic, and I would play, and then the Piano Guys. I don't know if you know of the Piano Guys. It's literally just I think there's the piano, the cello, and it's like instrumental versions of like so many different songs. Yeah, yeah, popular songs. Yeah, beautiful. I love them. And so I started, yeah, so it's like I Live by One Republic, Good Life by One Republic, A Sky Full of Stars, the Piano Guys. Yeah, and then now the rest is all like between healing and child loss and all these songs. Yeah. Yeah, yeah, it's and actually, I'm gonna have to share with you, because while I was decorating so I ended up decorating her space for Christmas, which I wasn't sure I was gonna do, but I'm leaning into my feelings as I feel them. I came across a song, Angela's song from the movie Angela Christmas, I think it is. Yeah, I will have to share it with you. It is the sweetest song. Oh my gosh. And I was like, you ready for the tears? And the fact that it's Angela, like, yeah, it's so interesting. And I saw Medium a few times and she had said the last one, she's like, do you connect with the music with her or whatever? And I'm like, actually I do. And she goes, okay, because that's going to be one of the ways that she going to start connecting and stuff. And I was like, okay, whatever. Yeah, and then it's just the songs that sometimes I come across. I'm like, wow, yeah.
You were pregnant
Hmm.
last year
Hmm.
during Christmas. Were there anything special that you did to mark the fact that you're pregnant during Christmas?
So the interesting thing is, I really wanted a picture with me, like a silhouette, with the Christmas tree. But Will and I don't know, we just kind of were busy. We're like, we'll do it like eventually, because like I never take my Christmas tree down until like it's literally up until from the beginning of November to like beginning of January or something like that, right? Like, yeah, no, Christmas has been a like I love Christmas. This year it's different. So I don't have a tree up, but and that I really wanted that type of picture, and we didn't end up getting it, and it is what it is. But no, there wasn't anything really like special in the sense that we did. Like, I mean, we have Loki, so we took a picture with Santa and him, and we were looking forward to like having a picture this year with Autumn here, and so at least I have that picture where I was pregnant, with her. There's always going to be things that we wish we did different. We wish, like, I think that's the battle too, with our loss. Like, it's a hard struggle, yeah. And wanting to put my energy towards her this month. And I think, and even when she passed away, like were stunned at what I was able to accomplish for her funeral because I went into planning mode. But because that's just like, I don't know. I guess it definitely is who I am. Like I'm an extra person. So if she was born alive, her first birthday, listen, it'd be freaking extra. Like I can't even deny that anymore. Like I can't be like, oh yeah, no. Like I enjoy it. Like go big. So at first we weren't sure if we were gonna like keep it just Will and I, if we were gonna keep it just like our immediate family. So the thoughts right now are we're gonna do something. So we're gonna like meet with our parents um at the cemetery, right? Just like the few of us. My brother is away. But anyway, so I'm going to be having them there. I'm planning, like, I'm going to bring balloons. I think so every month, okay, so let me backtrack. Every month, what we did is I write a letter to her. Will and I meet after work or whenever it is on the 29th. We go and get the number of flowers for her for that month, right? So like last month was 11, so we got 11 Gerbras. And we have a book that we read to her, and then we play a song. So we want to keep that the same, but obviously it's going to be a little bit different, right? I don't know if I'm going to include my parents and in-laws and like we all read the book together. And I don't know. So I don't know. I know parts of it, but not like full. I don't know if I'm either getting cupcakes or if I bring a cake and we just blow out a candle while we listen to a song. I don't want to sing happy birthday. I know some people do, right? It's just kind of one of those things. I just want to honor her, like have the space for her. And then we were thinking of having like some close friends and family who have been there with us this past year. And I don't even know if we're allowed to do this technically, but I maybe release like lanterns. Right. And then have them back here just for some coffee and some refreshments. And like, I do want to get a cake for her. And oh my God, I have to tell you this story quickly. The other day, I was like, okay, am I going to do cupcakes? Are we going to bring a cupcake with and with the candle? Should we get a little cake? Because people, bake cakes and whatever. And then I'm like, okay, I'm going to get a few cupcakes. I'm going to do like a super small cake. Okay. Because even if I don't bring the cake, at least when we come back here, there'll be something and we could still, anyways, whatever. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to do a small cake. I'm like, what flavor I'm going to do it? I'm like, I have no idea what flavor. All of a sudden, I'm like, strawberry shortcake. Because when I was younger, my favorite cake was strawberry shortcake. So I'm like, that seems so perfect. I was scrolling, I was getting ready for bed, but I was scrolling on Instagram and it was like the fourth or fifth post. And it was, I don't know if you follow her, Cradling Memories. I'm not sure. Okay, so it was a picture of strawberry shortcake, like the character from like an old one, right? And and the post was about being open to signs. Like the signs are there if you're open to it. I know. I got out of bed because Will was still awake, and I'm like, I know he's not fully into this, but he's starting to believe because things just happen and he's like, I can't even deny it. I was like, I have to tell you this. Like, this is just too wild. Like, it is. And I'm like, okay, so it's the filling is strawberry shortcake. like that's not the theme, but like, yeah. And I was just so, yeah, and it just happened like the other day. So, yeah, yeah. I mean, to see a strawberry shortcake picture, like, anyways, yeah, it was so wild. So yeah, so that's what I'm thinking of for her birthday. And then, so last year for the women's circle, I had, everyone write a letter to Autumn for her first birthday. So then Will and I are going to read them all. Yeah, we have a few, like, um, yeah. So we're gonna do that. We're gonna find some point at some point that weekend. I think it might be that evening. I don't know. We'll see, right? Because I have to not put pressure on myself, right? And my thing is, I just want everything to be perfect because this is how I can mother her. Of course, like I said, I'm open book, and I get to talk about her, and I love it. And I talked to her today, and I was like, you know how much I love talking about us and you, and so. My pregnancy was, I mean, straightforward. The only thing is like I have a higher BMI, because I'm a bit bigger. So, but it wasn't even of concern, right? Because of everything, that I have been doing. But again, it's still something they were like, oh, you'll be fine. And I was gaining like healthy weight. So it's not like I was gaining this like excessive mass. Some people gain, like my mother-in-law gained 80 pounds, but she was tiny, right? So that was the only, like, I think maybe issue that they were like, yeah, kind of flagged it, but nothing major. Other than that, I didn't have gestational diabetes. All my appointments and ultrasounds went well. She had a really strong heartbeat. For my 20-week anatomy scan, I had to go twice because she just didn't move a lot. Like, she just was like a baby who just didn't move a lot, right? And so she wouldn't move for them the way that they need to. They're like, come back, drink a little bit of orange juice, which they learning now. Like, you really shouldn't do that. But anyways, just that day, so she would move. Okay, fine. Again, nothing, like everything was fine. She just was coming up a little bit on the smaller side. So when I went after that appointment, I think it was a week or two, to my midwives, and I heard the heartbeat there. They're like, you know what, we're just going to schedule you in for another ultrasound just to monitor her growth. They go, if it falls below a certain percentage, then we kind of have to like look into like why, like what's happening, right? So scheduled that in. Had a midwife appointment the week prior to that appointment. Strong heartbeat. Everything looked good. Um, like I got the email of like what to start packing in your bag, because it was 32 weeks. We just hit 8, or that was 31 weeks. So we were hitting the 8-month mark, right? And then I had a scheduled appointment for December 28th. But before that, like it was my first pregnancy. And I knew I wasn't going to feel her as soon as like maybe the average size person feels her. But I felt her. I felt her since like at least October for sure. She was very strong. But I kind of questioned the movements all the time. Like even when I was talking to my friend, she's like reminded me like you always questioned it. Like so don't think that you did anything wrong. But that weekend I was like, I don't know. I remember trying to do like the kick count. And I don't know I don't even remember if I fully finished it or not. Because I was thinking about that the other day on my drive. And I was like, did I really fully do the kick count? You're nervous, right? Like you don't know what to compare to. But my midwife did tell me like, you have to sit, it's like 2 hours. You should feel 10 kicks or whatever. Okay. Anyway, so then that week we were going into Christmas, right? Hustle and bustle. I ended up feeling her the 26th. Again, now thinking back, it was her last move. It was her last movement. But I felt her the 26th and I'm like, oh, I felt like relieved. And I messaged my cousins and I'm like, I felt her. We're good. I told Will, but it wasn't her normal time either. But anyways, at that time I felt relieved. I'm like, I felt her. Okay. And it was really strong. It was really, really strong. And then the next day on the 27th, we had friends from out of town. Actually, my friends who I met in England and lived with, they were in, I don't know, Vietnam, I think, or Egypt. Anyways, they live and teach abroad. So they were coming over. So they say when you're busy, the baby is sleeping, right? But I know I didn't feel her that day. I know I didn't, but I didn't pay attention to it. I'm like, well, my appointment's the next day anyways, the 28th, and it was an early appointment. So I go in, and like, I just knew because the way she was trying to get her to move, because at 8 months, like she would, like I've gone in for enough ultrasounds to know that she's seen like right away. You know what I mean? They see her and stuff. And she was trying to like poke my, hit my stomach, and she started asking me questions, about my midwives and, when was the last time I felt her move? And then she had me lay on my side, to see if that would help. Cause sometimes they say that helps. And then I was just like, please move. Like I started feeling something like was wrong. And I was like, just please move, baby girl. And then she comes in, the ultrasound technician, and she's like, "Can you wait here? Like, wait in the room, in the lobby." I'm like, "Yeah, no problem." Not realizing she was calling my midwives to tell me. And at this point, I was like, kind of freaking out, but trying not to freak out. Um, Sorry. So, yeah, like I was messaging my husband. Kind of keeping him up to date. My friend was at home, like my best friend, and I was messaging with her and talking to her, and right, so trying to keep updated. Will kind of like started getting like a feeling, so, and I'm like, don't come, like I'll keep you posted. But apparently he was like he ended up leaving work. He didn't meet me there, but then they called me. So she called me in. I don't know. It was maybe like half an hour. It felt like the longest. I mean, half an hour is a long time in hindsight, regardless. But, and then she just put me in a room, um, and with the phone, and my midwife was on the other end. And, that's when they said, there's no heartbeats. Um, and I was just kind of like in shock. And, I think they were shocked as well because there was really no markers for anything. Um, and then I left. They let me walk out. No one said anything to me at all. I like I walked out. I probably shouldn't have been driving home. But I called my best friend right away. And well, so sorry, when I was in the room, of course, I like broke down and I was like, this can't be happening, whatever, just shock. And I called my friend and I'm like, there's no heartbeat. And she was like, what? And anyways, and I told Will, I'm like, meet me at home. And that's when he said he knew. Because I wasn't going to tell him on the phone. Like, at the end of the day, like, that's not something that I'm going to tell anyone. So we met at home and I just cried and we hugged. And then, because my questions were like, what do I do? Right. And so while I was talking to my midwife, she's like, just pack a bag of certain things, whatever, and then meet us at the hospital because it has to like be confirmed by them. And sorry, I'm going to get a Kleenex. And, they got the report. Like, and I knew I didn't feel her. Like at that point, I just knew that she wasn't there anymore. Like her soul was not there. And so we didn't even need another ultrasound. They went through all the results and whatnot, and with us, and they told us our options. Like we can either like go home and um like process it, and it was like process what? Like why I'm not gonna go home with my dead baby in my stomach and sleep. Like it made no sense. I know some people like need to, right? And I get it, but to me it didn't make any sense. So Will didn't make any sense. So we decided to get induced there. And so we started, I think, everything around 1:30, 2 o'clock. And then during that time we had like had to call our families and we started like letting people know and yeah, and then like that, even that whole journey, like that whole labor process. I was in labor for about Willis was about 30. I feel like I was about 26 hours because if we started being induced around 1:32 ish, and then she was born at 6:13. No epidural. The epidural didn't work. So it worked the first time. So here's the funny thing is I didn't even want the epidural. It was really interesting. And then like we had the talk because at that point we weren't sure. They were like, just in case we don't know, like we would want him to come now, because we don't know if like the anesthesiologist will be free later, blah, 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 blah. So, I mean, we made the decision. Will was like, given the outcome, maybe you don't want to feel this. And I was like, okay, you're right. So the first one, it was amazing. Like, I was like, oh, I get why people get the epidural. I was just like, like it was very interesting. Like, it helped me, like, it kept me calm. It helped me, like, I mean, when I say sleep, I would have maybe like half-hour intervals. My midwife still had to come every 2 hours to induce, like, I forget the pill that they gave, um, or something. Yeah, I forget. So that was every 2 hours. Um, and then near the end, my water still hadn't broke. So yeah, it didn't break at that point. But anyway, so then it started wearing off the next day. And then they realized, like, so I was getting the drip. I forget what it was. Of the drugs, and nothing was working. Like nothing was working. And I was getting into active labor at this point, and my contractions were really close and painful. And they realized when they had the anesthesiologist come again that it came out. So it wasn't in properly. I mean, it makes sense. Like if I was on my back and like the tape wasn't like moving and stuff, I don't know, whatever. So I didn't understand what their goal was. They're like, apparently they said, well, we're gonna have to do it again. I was like, yeah. I had no idea what they said because then they come in with their cart and I was like, sorry, what are you doing? They're like, no, we have to do it again. I was like, what? So I did it a second time. Didn't work. It wasn't rising up high enough. Like and it was kind of more on one side. I think it was more on my left side than my right side. Anyways, so then, and man, this anesthesiologist gave me a lot. I don't know. My body was metabolizing those drugs, like I don't know where it was going in my body, but it did not freeze me. So then he's like, the only thing I could do is we do it a third time. And I was like, absolutely not. I didn't even want it the first time. I'm like, we're not doing that. Um, but I'm actually very grateful that I didn't have it and I felt her. I felt everything. There were some, funny moments and of it. Like at one point, my midwife said, okay, like if because I hit like the 7-8 mark, but I wasn't my water didn't break, but they're like, okay, our next check in an hour or so, we'll break your water and she'll come faster. We're like, okay, fine. Will leaves. Honestly, it was like maybe 15-20 minutes. And he comes back and he's like, what happened? I was like, I mean, she was crowning. I was like, I lost my hair tie, so I was like sweating and hot, and like I'm holding onto the bed, like I was like gonna fall off a cliff. Like it was, there were moments of like, when I tell the story and when Will tells the story, we laugh about it because we gave labor, like we gave birth, right? There's still those moments, like I don't know, and then and I was like, I'm like, oh my god, I'm like, I don't know if I'm gonna go to the washroom or not, like, and then my midwives are like, it's her, breathe through it, like, and I was like, I can't, right? Because I did breathe through one of those contractions, but I was like, I can't. I looked her dead in the eye, and I'm like, she's coming. But little did I know that they were waiting for my original midwife to come because she said she had to leave after the 16-hour mark. She left to go get rest at home, and she's like, I'm coming back. And I don't think she needed to come back, but she wanted to come back and be a part of it and with Autumn and us. And because we were together for so many hours and having life chats, and like it was really surreal, like you go in and out of like what's happening. Um, Anyways, and so even my family said they saw her running because I'm like, she came, right? Like she came with the, but anyways, yeah, and then she was born, and yeah, it was very, very interesting. But then okay, so the signs when my friend does Reiki, and which is energy healing, and she also sees images, right? So not every Reiki practitioner like they all have different gifts. And she kind of just started tapping into it. So and she was new to Reiki, like maybe about a year or so. And so anyway, so she contacted one of her other like Reiki practitioner friends, that she did a course they did the course together and whatnot. And anyways, separate places, they ended up doing distance Reiki on me, and they connected to Autumn like immediately. Um, and so when I was in the hospital, she messaged me. She's like, Autumn's with you still. Her soul is there. Talk to her. And whatever. And yeah, it was just like so wild and beautiful and heartbreaking. And so I had that, and I would try to talk to her throughout the labor. And then when she was born, all I kept saying was like, I can't wait to like connect with you, like after this. Um, and then it came out that like this was her soul's contract. And she actually stayed longer than she was supposed to. Yeah, when she didn't realize the connection would be so strong as it was when she came into the physical form with me. So she didn't want to leave me at first, but it was she signed, her and I both signed this contract before. I was like, um, anyway, so I mean, so that was a big thing. That was really a big thing. Yeah. And then the next day, so when we did come back home, somehow I slept. I don't know how. I didn't sleep long. And I came out, the first thing that I saw behind my couch was a dime, like literally the day after. And dimes are known to be from like loved ones and angels. And so that kind of like just, yeah, took off like the whole spiritual side. And it doesn't make it any easier. right? Um, it's just, yeah. Yeah, so that's our story.
You so
It's
much for
just,
sharing
yeah.
that. The fact that you have people in your life who are so spiritual, who are able in a way to guide you when you don't know what to do in those moments. Like all sense of self just escapes you. And I'm so glad you had friends who were like, no,
Yeah,
continue to have that
yeah,
relationship because she's there and she's
yeah,
listening. That's so crucial. And I love that you said as well, you're glad that the epidural didn't work because you got to really feel. And honestly, that's how I felt about Mila. My dad was like,
yeah,
oh, have a cesarean. I said,
yeah,
no, I will not. Like, I just want to feel her. And isn't it so, it's beautiful. Come on. Even
yeah,
for all the pain,
yeah. It is. No, 100%, 100%. And like I get it. Like, so my naturopath was explaining because I was going to like get ready for a natural birth. She's like, it's all about your perspective and like what did she say? Like training your brain to work through it, right? Because it's not like, period pain where you could be having cramps for like a week straight, right? They're quick, and I'm like, now I understand, obviously, like the difference. It's painful, but then there's like, even if it's like 5 seconds, like of the relief, I'm like, okay. And then literally once she came out, I didn't have that. But then they were like, oh yeah, you have to birth your placenta. I'm like, what? It didn't come out with it? What do you mean? Like,
yeah, Sonia, I think it'll be nice just to for us to close off to
for
hear
sure.
about what things are you doing now that help you to continue connecting and also other things that you're doing within the baby loss community. Um, yeah, tell us a little bit about that.
For sure. So, in terms of things to connect with her, so I actually had gotten to a point where we were trying again, and we actually had our second IUI in August. I got a positive pregnancy, but I had an early loss, and that like broke me, and that closed me up to everything. Like it's not the same. It's obviously not the same type of loss as losing Autumn and doesn't compare to her, but I think just all of it just like completely broke me because of the work that I had to do to get me to a point to welcome a new soul into my womb, right? And apparently that soul is ready, right? So I was like, oh my God, this is it. And it's like, just kidding. And so it took me a while. I completely closed off to everything, broke down. So I wasn't getting signs for a while. And only the last, I would say, month and a bit, I finally have been able to like get back to that place where I'm getting signs from her and my guides and things like that. So I'm trying to keep that up. And even in my Reiki session, she actually came to like immediately. My friend was like, "Oh my God, Autumn's here. I haven't seen her in a while." Right. So that was a beautiful gift because I had that this week. So some of the things that I do like to connect with her, um, oh my gosh, like I mean, I have her everywhere around my space, right? But I talk to her and um kind of like if I am feeling, I talk to her in the sense that it's like I'm trying, I'm really trying to move forward. It's just, and trying to like not feel guilty about feeling sad, because they say like, oh, they wouldn't want to see you crying and all this stuff. And I'm like, well, I mean, technically, it's her fault, right? Like the dark humor, right? Like I don't remember signing up for this. Like, um, and I have a space for her, um, like for all her things that people have gotten me and things like that. It's a beautiful space. So I have like my crystals. I meditate and try, to connect with her that way. I'd light candles for her when I feel like I want to kind of connect. Sometimes I know it sounds really to some people, it might be like, okay, this woman is definitely smoking some good stuff. But she, for something about candles, she like kind of like comes through. And it happened the first time I meditated to connect with her, and like all of us, like it was so the flame was dancing, and it was so bright that I had to open my eyes, and I was like literally like checking. I'm like, there's no air here, right? Like I still do it now too to make sure, right? Because again, you're not. I don't know. I'm like maybe I'm going crazy, right? Even though I believe in this stuff. Um, so I do that. I have like 3 or 4 candles for her, and I pick and choose which one I want. Um, uh, I feel like those are like the big things that I do like in my space, but I also have like jewelry for her and made from like the flowers of her funeral. I got like resin. Um, in the baby loss community, another way that I connect with her is so I became a volunteer with the pregnancy and infant loss community here in Ontario. I haven't been very active, but I did in November. I did a compassionate care workshop. So that is a workshop where healthcare professionals come together, obviously, for a whole day of learning and how to provide care and compassionate care for people experiencing loss. And so I did my first one in November, and I feel like it was, I mean, a mix of emotions. Um, and so that's a way that I feel kind of paying it forward. Um, and through sharing her story, because I did receive compassionate care through my midwives. They were unbelievable. And some of the stories that I hear, like it's unfortunate how people are treated, and depending on at what stage their loss is happening. And so that's just a way that I connect with her, like, and through her story, um, I get to help other people. Um, I am working with my friend. We are going to be hosting a bereaved mothers like day retreat, right? Yeah. And I mean, it's our first, so even if we get 2 people, it's a start. So that's something that I am looking forward to. Anytime that I'm connecting with um a lost mom, I feel energized. Weird. It's not that misery loves company, because if anything, I'm uplifting them. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, I mean, I don't know if that's actually happening, but like, it's just, yeah, right, yeah, of course, and then it leads to so many different things, like what you're doing now too, right? You did the Instagram lives, and like there's your book, like there's so much. I am sharing my grief journey on social media specifically. So I have a personal account, and then I have Autumn Whispers account. And I've been connecting with so many beautiful moms. Um, some that I connect more deeply with, some just kind of through a random comment here or there. It's just this community is just, it's so important that we are there for each other. And again, I feel connected to Autumn when I'm sharing and I get feedback from people, and that I'm changing not only people's like I'm helping people, and also because I'm through sharing my grief and how I'm honoring her and the things that I do for her. um like I've had a few of my friends tell me who have not lost a child, I had a stillbirth or anything, that their perspective on grief in general is changing, right? And for me, that is important. I do feel that like my soul's purpose has shifted. So I'm interested to see like what is going to come about in the coming years, for my life. I don't know. And I feel like honoring not only our babies, but people who have passed away. I've just become so much more aware of the importance of it, and I just like, oh my God, it's hard to remember everyone, That's the thing. For me, I'm like, oh, I wish I could, I would need like a wall of like calendar, right? But I just think it's so important. And, having whether it was your baby or anybody, just remembering them. I think it's so important. And yeah, and I'm gonna forever work to share about Autumn because I think in sharing her and how she's so present and how I include her in my life and with Will and how, you know, um, I think it'll slowly change people's perspective on being able to sit with someone
I think it's just so
in this.
important to learn how to have that empathy and to really like shift the way we speak about grief because there are just so many immediate responses that it's already instilled in all of us. We can't sit here and say that, you know, I've been that person to have said an at least, and you need to,
Complete.
yeah.
Oh my gosh, yeah. Like the things that I feel like I even find myself now sometimes saying certain things and I'm like, whoa, whoa, whoa. Like,
So I'm just going to ask you one last final thing, and it's if you could share a resource that has been useful to you, or some like could be a book, could be a charity, anything, what would it be?
okay, so I would have to can I go get the book? Maybe I can share one book. Okay, okay. Nancy Tillman. Okay. All these books, wherever you are. I'd know you anywhere. Like these books are like, they hit so different when you're reading them to your babies, and they're so beautiful. Um, and I've through my posts like monthly, like because I read a book to her every month, or I have for the 12 months. So they're on my Instagram, but they are just so beautiful, and they are just sometimes there's no words to that can just express how you're feeling in a moment or like towards your babies, and like I find reading books to her has been also very like healing and like a way to connect with her, I guess. And yeah, so Nancy Tillman, I tell you, like these books, like I also in the baskets, like the gift baskets that I put together for the two living babies, this book went in. So this is good not just for baby loss, but also for like children in general.
But Mama, honestly, thank you so much for being so open,
Sure,
sharing your
yeah.
beautiful daughter with us, also sharing your miscarriage as well. Thank you. Thank you for connecting with me. Thank you, Autumn, right, for coming into our
Thank
lives.
you.
Thank you, Mila, as well. I'm just so grateful for you babies.